And welcome everyone to Spore War After the War. This is our weekly analysis and retrospective series on the latest Spore War episode that hopefully you just watched here on the Dungeon Scrawlers channel, where we celebrate the events in the session we liked and ask questions about things we want to learn more about, and maybe we even pull back the curtain a little bit and reveal a little bit about actual play production and share that with you as well. My name is Jason Collins. I am a freelance comic book author and now award-winning actual play game master and producer and streamer. We can talk about that. And,
if we need to.
And I've done a little tabletop role-playing game design in my time as well. You can find links to my work, the other award-winning actual plays I've been a part of, and my comic book Thistle on my link tree at digital_Collins. And with that, I am proud to introduce the Gamerunner for Spore War, Seneschal.
I haven't won any awards.
Nothing?
Not really, no.
Sports, academia.
I'm talking specifically to the hobby, but we'll see. But I think we should start with your recent triumphs, and I think we should talk about what they mean to you. And I think we should talk about how incredible it is that really, you were standing among giants just to be nominated, but to have won for one of your earliest streaming actual play efforts is, I think, an incredible achievement. And then I think we should talk about how your award affects me personally. And since we play at the same table and you're now an award-winning GM,
That's right.
how endless ammunition for you to, before I start my next campaign, say, just so I can moderate my expectations. Have you won any awards for running a game, Matt? This is the worst thing that could have happened to me, Jason.
It's true, and that was a risk I was willing to take.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So for context, for anybody that didn't watch the last After the War, I think before we recorded this one, or a couple of them back, depending on if we had one in between or not. I guess we didn't because I was away. Last year I recorded a actual play here on the Dungeon Scrawlers channel. It was my second full actual play that I was a part of, my second full actual play that I was the game master for. And it was a follow-up actual play series to my initial actual play a year earlier, also here on Dungeon Scrawlers, called Quadrilateral, which was my Star Wars actual play. I'll probably do a little insert in this, and I'll edit in a little logo so you guys can see that as a reminder. So in 2023, we did the Quadrilateral actual play Star Wars series, which was 4 episodes. It was an open call where I had to use social media, back when social media, even 2 short years ago, still allowed us to stay connected and actually find other creatives in our spaces. And with the help of Eric Scott DeBee, one of the co-founders of Dungeon Scrawlers and co-producer on that series, and he was a occasional guest star, we did an open call. We found 4 phenomenal players through just a little bit of luck and skill and just good judgment. But for the most part, all of us were new to each other and had not played together before. And I was the rookie game master in the actual play sphere that none of them knew, and all of them had to take a chance that I would provide them both a fun space, a safe space, and an engaging space that would challenge them creatively to hopefully bring some good role play. And we had a hell of a lot of fun, and we did a Star Wars actual play, which was my goal. And they enjoyed it enough that they were willing to come back a year later, and we did a second follow-up series called Quadrilateral Frostfall. That was an 8-episode actual play that we did as a follow-up to the first one. And I had set the bar high for myself and said I wanted to not just do a Star Wars actual play. I wanted to do an elevated Star Wars actual play. I wanted there to be a bit of emotion and a bit of excitement and a bit of fun. And all of that was great. It came off well. We all really enjoyed it. If it found an audience, wonderful. actual plays. There's a lot of them out there, and so it can be very difficult to get your creative works seen and heard by the audience. But sometimes you just put things out there and let the audience come to you when the time is right. In the midst of after having done that, I learned about something that I didn't know existed, but of course it's a thing, is that, yes, there's film festivals, but in this case there's one called the New Jersey Web Fest. And one of my players, who lives in New Jersey, knew of this festival and had actually attended before. And one of their game masters on their other channel, which is Starlight Tales, for those that might seek it out in the future, had been one of their game masters for Starlight Tales had been nominated, and they got to, I think they actually got to go and attend the New Jersey Web Fest as part of that ceremony and gala where they recognize different people. So I heard about New Jersey Web Fest, didn't know anything about it, didn't realize it was even a thing until last year. But what I learned was that New Jersey Web Fest recognizes audio fiction, which actual plays they include under that, both of the audio and video variety, but they treat and celebrate audio fiction equally with their independent film recognition. That's pretty huge. Very few festivals recognize audio fiction, and even fewer, I think, give it equal treatment in terms of their recognition as an art form, as a creative pursuit, as a film and entertainment, media. And they had somebody on their team that actually liked actual plays and was a champion for it, and convinced some of the sort of the founders and executives for the Webfest to consider including it. They did that 5 years ago. So actual plays have been part of New Jersey Webfest for 5 years. And so this is the 7th year, I think, of the festival this year. And so I heard about it last year, didn't know anything about it, and then looked up into their submission guidelines and figured out what it was they needed. And I sent something off, and I sent them a sizzle reel of quadrilateral frostfall, trying to capture what I hoped would be the most interesting, dramatic, funny, and exciting moments that would catch their eye and hopefully represent actual play well. Did that months in advance, get on with your life, and then the nominations come in and you find out what you've been nominated for. They give you the list of categories, so I submitted in multiple categories just to test the waters to see what it would be. And then the nominations come back, and it's Quadrilateral Frostfall and Jason Collins nominated in 5 categories for the Webfest on our first submission. And so that kind of blew me away. And I'll always remember this immensely, sitting in the car with my spouse, and we were sitting there, and the email came in, and so I started reading it over and reading it out to her. And as we was going through best overlay, so the background, the art design, and so forth, right? I didn't create the art. I had talented artists help me create it, but best overlay design, nominated for that. Best sound design, well, that's fun, because I'm throwing in some sci-fi sound effects and maybe borrowing a little bit from the Lucasfilm library of, things that are out there on the web and stuff that make good sound effects, and just having fun with that. And then best editing, which I thought was ridiculous, because I'm literally a self-taught editor, still figuring things out as I go. But trying to develop a bit of a sense to it and trying to do things cinematically in the best way that I can. To be nominated for that was a huge compliment. And we're going down the list, and then we get to best game master in an actual play in the video category. And you could hear I'm sure she could hear my brain exploding inside my head when I saw that. And then the final one, the 5th nomination, was outstanding sci-fi fantasy actual play in the video category. So 5 categories, including best show in the sci-fi category and best game master for all the video actual play submissions that were out there. That was crazy. Just ridiculous. And my wife says to me, she says, "Are you going to go? Do you think you should go?" She says. And I'm like, "Well, I wasn't going to, but I think I do now." So we sort of reveled in that for a moment, and it took me quite a while, and I rushed home and told the players and shared with them what had happened. And the ones that knew what the Webfest was and had been there before and understood what it meant were over the moon for me, and they were super ecstatic.
Mm-hmm.
And I was almost disappointed immediately following my joy, because none of the players on the show got a nomination for individual performance.
Right.
And I immediately regretted I didn't send the right clips. I should have sent better or more clips of them to get them showcased. But you get through that, and you don't look back, you look forward. and that nomination for best game master and for overall outstanding show, it just carried me. You floating on a cloud. And then I made plans to go, and I attended the 4-day festival in New Jersey, which was just a phenomenal opportunity that I had to make on very short notice.
Mm-hmm.
And went through some workshops, and they did some screenings, and I had sent them a trailer of Quadrilateral Frostfall, just a quick snip of a few minutes, and they play that on a movie screen in an actual movie theater, in a small screening theater that they have available for these film festivals, and in an audience full of both audio fiction people, audio actual play people, and independent filmmakers in the audience. And they intersperse the actual plays alongside the indie films. So you're seeing the indie film trailers, and then an actual play trailer, and then an audio fiction trailer, all together, all mixed in. No separation, no categories. Day one isn't the audio fiction people. Day two is an independent film, so that people skip one and go to the other. You just get told what day your screen or your trailer will be up there, and you need to.
I don't think I realized that when you explained it earlier.
Yeah.
Is that really all you can offer them? Is it really all that's left under the oppressive thumb of the Empire?
And what would you offer them instead?
Hope.
Is this ship flying, or is it falling? 2 Imperial snowtroopers enter the cantina, followed by an Imperial officer.
Her rifle hand, flexes and tightens just a bit. And
Vilra, you can feel for a moment that heat off of Tanal. You felt it before.
You have to be careful of Vilra. There's something powerful and dark in that girl.
Okay. I don't want the Force anymore. I did that. Can you take it from me?
I'm not trying to cause any trouble.
I don't think you know what trouble looks and sounds like. Come in with your uniform and your orders, and you think that gives you sway. Maybe you even think it gives you a measure of respect. But I promise you, in here, it doesn't. It's going to kill him, and Two Pint is going to get a dark side point.
2 Pint is gonna still do it. You can't resist in half measures.
Except this force point, Vilra will gain a dark side point.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's cool.
So they treat it equally, they showcase it equally, they celebrate it equally. That was phenomenal. And again, that could have been the whole weekend, and that would have been enough for sure. I got to meet and connect with some amazing actual play personalities that are out there right now. People that are some known named quantities, and others that have active channels with a good audience. But super generous people. And if you've ever been in whatever your passion is, whatever your creative pursuits are, whatever your professional pursuits are, but when you get to go to a conference, a meeting, a weekend, a gathering, and you're in a room with everybody feeling the same energy you do, and everybody wants you to succeed, and everybody wants you to do well, it's so gratifying and validating to be able to be in that room. And when the trailer for Quadrilateral Frostfall played, there were film people that were in the audience that came up to me afterwards, recognized me as being the GM for that. They said, you know, I watched that. That was a really good trailer. I was looking at that with my film eyes. I could totally see what you were going for. What better compliment could I possibly ask for? But there was a better compliment coming. And then Sunday night was the gala. And that's the only time they separate everybody. So the audio fiction people get their gala, the independent film people get their gala, so that they have time to celebrate all that. And there's a lot of categories that nominate. And I didn't win Best Overlay, and I didn't win Best Sound Design, and I didn't win Best Editing, but to be nominated was a thing. But I got this guy here, which if the camera will focus well enough to say...
Outstanding Sci-Fi Fantasy Actual Play in the video category. Oh, that's outstanding.
So that's pretty great. Quadrilateral Frostfall wins Best Sci-Fi Fantasy Actual Play out of all the video actual plays out there. Lose my mind. And then this one, which I can't take down because it's currently being held up by my K2 SO droid from Rogue One, but he's standing right behind it with his hand on it. And this one says Best Game Master of an Actual Play in the video category. And so I won twice. And as my beautiful wife put it, she says, Jason gets to go to the Nerd Oscars. And she was right, because that's basically what it was.
Yeah.
And at the Nerd Oscars, I won Best Picture and Best Director.
Yeah, that's great. That's really great. You should be very proud of yourself, and I don't need to say that because I know you are.
Yeah, yeah, it was a phenomenal weekend, and it's surreal to be sitting in that room, to have them call your name, and you see your name up on the screen on the little slideshow they got going on, and all the nominees are listed there. And as I said, in the Game Master category, I was up against some known quantities in the actual play space, which, to take nothing away from them, because how the hell do you judge Best Game Master? I can't possibly imagine and they've got actual judges that do a judging process, no different than a film festival would be, how they possibly judge that. But whatever criteria and nuance that they apply to that decision-making process, to be considered amongst some people that are already established in the sphere, but then to be recognized and like you say, to stand amongst giants and to be with them, was an amazing weekend. And even the people that were nominated alongside you came up to genuinely congratulate you afterwards. Everybody's happy for you. Everybody's happy that you're there. Yeah, I just can't say enough good things about it, and I couldn't be prouder of something, an art form that I started barely 2 years ago, and which I give full credit to you, Seneschal, because you were the one that reminded me that actual plays were a thing, which I knew they were, but they weren't enough of a thing that I was watching them. And you recommended a couple that really stood out to you, that were important, or that had a big impact on you. And we've talked about how our schedules are busy, our time is short, we don't have a lot of time to devote to that. So when you invest time in watching something, if it needs to really grab you and entertain you, and the ones you showed me did, and immediately it sparked in me to go, well, I'm halfway there. I've got these decades of experience as a game master, these decades of love of role-playing games, and I'm already a writer, and I'm already doing other creative pursuits. I think I could do this as well. And then I reached out to Dungeon Scrawlers, and I pitched them an idea, and from there it was off to the races. And almost 2 years after that, from the first time I pitched it to them, I'm standing in New Jersey receiving the Outstanding Sci-Fi Actual Play Award alongside the Best Game Master Award.
Yeah, it's pretty exceptional. And as I said, worst possible thing to have happened. I truly grieve for the before times.
That's right. I am a Seneschal will vouch that I am a pretty mild-mannered person. I tend to let things slide. I tend to roll with the punches as they come in life and in gaming. But I will be insufferable, and he will feel it.
I know what's coming. I mourn for the passage of the before times, as I say.
That's right. I knew him when. I knew him when.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Jason. With all sincerity, we are making plans with our friends to go have a few drinks and celebrate your accomplishments. And you should feel very proud. You are an excellent. I mean, we've talked about this before. We have been truly fortunate with the people at our home table.
Yeah.
And it's not just because we have everyone capable of running a game. It's because they push us to be better game runners. They really do. And you and I have always been, interested in the narrative side, but having a balanced table where there are some who like the tactical play and some who like, making a challenging rules-based character, and those like us who have varying degrees and interest in the characters and conflicts and politics and world building and all the rest of it. There's it's a really great table. And now that you're better than us, I wish you well in seeking a table that meets your new enhanced qualifications.
It came with the little package that comes with the award. It's just, here's your instructions on how to better your life and how to upgrade your table mates. Yeah, of course. Very good. So it's been nice. It's been a pleasure, and I'll enjoy this as the swan song of our relationship. That it'll
exactly.
Be at the conclusion of Spore War.
We had a good run.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Insufferable. So I'll be insufferable, and it already happened tonight during the recording of this Spore War session. So it was.
Oh my God! During the break.
It was.
Yeah.
It was lovely.
The players were feeding into it too. It's great.
And it's
I
too,
really,
and it's really too bad because in this recording that we had tonight, coming on the heels of celebrating my win as the best game master of the actual play sphere, yeah, you had a crappy night. You had a crappy session
yeah.
filled with a bunch of crappy happenings, some crappy dice rolls that only made the crap worse.
It was shit
Tell
all the way through.
Tell the people about your crappy night, and let's talk about that.
Yeah, it was just pure shit. So a sewer romp, to complete the pun. And I have a recommendation for anyone who's an experienced game runner who may not realize this, or if you're thinking of being a GM. Running a sewer adventure with really evocative descriptions of what a sewer is actually like and that pungent aroma of raw fermented sewage is a great way to not feel the hunger that if you forgot to have dinner before running a game. Because I lost my appetite completely and it was my own damned fault. Actually, I can blame Paizo a little bit for writing this. And I was not familiar with the Omox Filth Demon before I read through this chapter 2 of book 1, and ugh. I'm pretty immune to whatever, but
there's a couple of outstanding reaction moments. I think I'm gonna mine the episode footage and I'm gonna splice in as we're talking about this a few of their reactions to some of the moments right at the beginning, because those reactions were outstanding, and so I think it'll for anybody that skips the episode and just comes for after the war, we'll sell it and we'll say this is why this episode was so much fun.
Yeah. And I didn't want to oversell it because a couple of our players were actually feeling nauseous.
Yeah.
I had to be a little careful there, and I would have gone further, but I had to be a bit careful. But there's a difference between adventures, go down in the sewer, you find some stuff and treasure and stuff. It's a missed opportunity again to sort of ignore the fact that you're walking through filth. Feel that as your characters are feeling that. And so I enjoyed this session.
The stench of open sewer, that if you've ever walked past an open sewer or a backed up sewer or a sewer that's just venting out or splashing out, it's so repulsive that it's a physical reaction where your body goes, this is super harmful, get the hell away from it, and you reel back, you have that the gag reflex that happens. And that's just if you catch a whiff of it, let's say outside in open air where you can get away from it immediately. And to think about being inside a sewer, surrounded by that, would just be impossible to comprehend.
Well, and I'm aware of a case from a couple decades ago where somebody had an uninsured loss due to a sewer backup. And if you think sewer backup, it's every bit as horrible as you imagine. But then you think no insurance helped them with the recovery.
Yeah.
It was all their responsibility to fix. And someone who may, if it happened to someone who did not have enough money to pay to have someone do it, it's your shovel and wheelbarrow. It would be just move somewhere else kind of territory. It's just walk away.
Take off and nuke the site from orbit.
Yeah. Anyways, so I tried to evoke a little bit of that without losing players to permanent disconnection. We did have someone with some technical difficulties who dropped out, and we started a bit late, so it was a bit of a short session, but I enjoyed it because the players were, again, engaged.
It's funny. We were talking at the start of the session before we were recording. We were actually talking about the remaining schedule and kind of spacing out some remaining recording dates and just kind of doing a bit of the math there. And everybody was being overly kind and just generous and complimenting, saying how much fun they're having and it's going so well, and they really appreciate all the time we put into it and stuff, which is just lovely to hear, of course. But they talked about how they've just been having so much fun with it. And then tonight, my God, just the laughs and the horror and just the engagement felt as high as it's ever been.
Yeah.
And we'd had to have a bit of a skip week again because somebody had to go win Best Game Master across the continent somewhere.
Oh, who's that?
Yeah,
Did we talk about that yet?
Yeah, we could bring it up again. We could circle back around to it again. Which
we'll circle back.
Absolutely. And so even with that little break, everybody was good energy, high spirits, ready to go. And then tonight, like, it just felt like they were just laughing their ass off every other round. In between the horror of their surroundings and the dismay at the adversary that they were facing. Just a great session for that, and I think that comes across really well in the viewing of it.
Yeah, good. I enjoyed it.
So the sewer romp, as you put it, right? A iconic, often low level adventure.
Yes.
A little bit of rat catching, a little bit of go fetch the lost token, the lost child, those types of things. And I can confess, I don't know that I've done a high level sewer romp like this before. And it sure hits differently in that regard. And hit it did.
Yeah, absolutely, it hits differently. The things you can do with high level challenges in a sewer environment are disgusting. They're gross. The monsters that are keyed to that kind of environment are horrifying.
For the new and experienced game masters out there, for the game runners, give them a quick snapshot without avoiding the need to go and watch the whole episode. But let's talk about the preparation that the players did, because they did an excellent job of trying to sort of predict and sort of prepare for some of the obstacles that they thought they would encounter. And they had some really good preparations that I just thought was just some really sensible use of magic items, magic spells. Talk about that for a moment, and about how that just encouraged them to be bold and keep exploring, because they had done some of that preparation and they weren't just hesitant to even get into the muck.
I think even at the end of last session, they really realized, I think, that this was not going to be an easy thing. Between the sewage and the corruption. So the water walking is just a phenomenal approach to that kind of environmental challenge. They weren't particularly careful with detecting traps.
No.
They found the trap anyways.
Yes.
The hard way. But again, they had these masks that they'd created with the plague doctor cone filled with herbs that gave them an advantage. What else were you thinking? Because I may have forgotten.
The water walking was the big one for sure.
Yeah.
And then one more time, Gwen as Briella with a bit of a clutch control water spell.
Oh yeah, that's right. And that was, interestingly, it allows you to raise or lower the level of a liquid, right? And so it just made sense to be able to stop the pipes from flowing down if you're raising it up, despite the pressure. I enjoyed that use of the spell. It was clever. She had prepared for it, obviously.
Yeah. And water walking is one of those spells that, while a great utility spell early on, can quickly get surpassed by flight and teleportation and floating magic items and things that can just kind of levitation and whatever. So water walking is something that can get overlooked or barely shows up in your spell list before you're onto something maybe a bit better or whatever. But in this case, they've used water walking twice in the series so far already, and just a really sensible use of having the spell at your disposal, and made a big difference.
Yeah, it is one of those spells that's underrated compared to high glamour spells like fly or whatever. But just the fact that you treat it as solid ground for most effects. You can walk on the surface of water and other liquids without falling through. You can go underwater if you want to, but it's only if you want to, and then you have to swim normally. So really great for anything that's more harmful than water, a pool of acid or anything like that. You're just grazing the surface with your feet, and so this use of it was brilliant.
They got to encounter, and we had, like I said, a bit of a technical hiccup for a quick moment while we had to do a quick reconfiguration, but it gave us a chance to look up some of the rules, as we talked about when we came back up on the episode. And we got to learn a little bit more about Pathfinder 2nd Edition, which was, I appreciated, that they had thought this through in terms of critical hits, creatures that are immune to critical hits, but that immunity to critical hit does not make you immune to critical hit effects. Because that was always one of the most disappointing things with usually higher level monsters or monsters that just have a lot of immunities and things, that critical hit sometimes just to do sheer hit point damage is one of the only options you have, and you take that away, it makes the fight a bit of a slog and a bit of a grind. But to have critical hit effects still perhaps pass through can give you the time and the energy you've taken into creating a specific weapon, a specific fighting style, talking about some of just the creative choices tactically that you have can still be effective in a combat, and that's one more tick in the positive column for me for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, that they kept that versatility into the system and didn't just make it a hard pass fail when it came to immunities.
Yeah, I was surprised by that, actually. I wasn't expecting that to be the rule. And I was disappointed that my monsters didn't live longer as a result.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. So a sewer romp, but they are not out of the sewer yet. They've got more sewer to go. And due to that technical hiccup and a bit of a later start, the episode, as we say, isn't quite as long. We know there'll be at least one more episode in the sewer. I wasn't keeping score, and I don't know if you were, so you'd have to tell me if you remember. Have they burned through a lot of their resources yet, or do they still have resources at their disposal, given that they need to delve deeper before they can finish this part of the adventure path?
I think they're in trouble, is my impression, but I don't know enough about their reserves to tell for sure. One of the challenges I face is I'm trying to get us to a speed run to the end of this first book. And so there's a couple of encounters that I know I'm going to skip over. There's some poison arrow traps and other things that are in here.
Right.
There's some stuff that's boring. And the encounter at the end of the sewer is, I think, what I want to get to as quickly as possible. And I need to get to that next session. I think they would face more of a challenge if they had to encounter everything that I've got written in front of me, but I'm just not going to run that.
Well, it would deplete them, and I know the challenge that's waiting at the end of the sewer. It's one of the parts of the adventure path that I remember looking at and quite enjoying some of their design choices there. And I agree with you. I think in terms of just the best parts of the sewer romp, that just to get them to that stage, and at the same time, it's classic game design where they have a series of challenges, whether it's combat, whether it's traps, whether it's puzzles, whatever it is, but all of it designed to kind of deplete your resources by the time you get to that final confrontation to make it more challenging. They aren't shy about burning their resources as they go, which is both wonderful and smart for them to use their tools when they need them in the moment. But at the same time, you don't have to go out of your way to deplete some of those resources. They do that just fine on their own.
Correct. And, I loved the interaction where Briala used Disintegrate. For the first time, it didn't completely destroy an enemy.
I know.
And everyone's like, did it work?
I know. Exactly.
It was great.
It was really good. There's some great, I'll remind you just because to remind myself as well, but there's some great artwork for the channel for the final encounter at the end of the
I know.
So just make sure we share that and use that, because I want to make sure we show that on the stream for that episode.
I will.
So that'll be really, really good. And I think it's some of the more creative design work that Paizo's done for, at least for this part of the adventure path, that without having seen the other two books, to see what they've done. And so I appreciated that they leaned into this, I guess is the way to say it, and that they really came up with something in my mind that was unique, that I hadn't really seen before. And I think for this group of players, they're really gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, I agree. It's gonna be fun.
Perfect. Closing thoughts for this episode of After the War, as we go to wash our hands and wash our brains of all the muck.
Yeah, I need to reestablish my appetite after that one. I have to say, I feel like I spend a lot of time shouting out the players, but they're really great players. And, for me, running this game has been an absolute thrill, and you've made that possible, whereas I would not have had the wherewithal to do it. But I'd like to play with some of these players too, if the opportunity should ever arise. I think that you and I at a game table on an actual stream together might be a bit much. But I'm part of me is a sucker for that kind of punishment too. So
Yeah.
we'll have to see what the future holds, Jason.
Well, and just have to use some of that natural charisma to convince them that if you've got one old fart, two old farts is better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel confident we can make that happen in the next little while, and so we'll wait for that right opportunity to come along.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I enjoyed that. Thank you very much, Jason.
Thank you. Thanks to everyone for joining us for this episode of Spore War After the War. We hope that you've been enjoying the series up to this point. And a reminder, of course, if you are on the Dungeon Scrawlers Discord, the link is below. You can even leave comments on the Spore War series, Spore War After the War, or even ask questions for Seneschal and I if you want. And if there's anything that I didn't share about New Jersey Webfest that you'd want to know more about on that side, I'd be happy to share about that as well. One more time, my name is Jason Collins. I am a freelance comic book author, award-winning actual play streamer and producer, and tabletop role-playing game designer. I'm the producer and editor for the Spore War series, and we appreciate you spending some time with us.
And I'm Seneschal, and I really appreciate you watching. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Cheers.